A question came in asking, how do expectations affect marriage? And that's a great question. And the answer is not very well. You see, everyone comes into marriage with expectations. I remember when my husband and I got married, I definitely had certain expectations of what our marriage was going to be like based on what I had grown up with, the way that I had seen marriage played out in real life. I carried those expectations into my marriage. And not even just what I experienced growing up, but what I assumed from the way that we interacted when we were dating, I assumed would last forever throughout the time that we were married. And that, again, did not exactly turn out the way that I hoped it would be. And I know in my personal experience, when I let those expectations when I would think about them all the time, when I would let myself be consumed with, but I thought it was going to be like this. If I would have known this then, I wouldn't have this, that, or the other. It was not healthy. It was never healthy. So instead, what I realized we had to do in order to have a great marriage, to be able to grow together and have a strong marriage going forward, was we couldn't just keep these expectations in our head. And we couldn't hold the other person to a higher standard than we held ourselves, which is exactly what I was doing. Instead, we had to sit down, we had to talk about these things, and instead of putting it in the viewpoint of, you don't do this for me, and that's what I thought marriage was going to be like, instead, it's just an open and honest communication of, here's some things that I've been thinking about, I've been struggling with, and I just want us to talk about it so we can move forward and figure out a plan, figure out if it really matters, if it's something we need to be focusing on, or figure out, what should we be focusing on? What should we do next going forward? So if you have certain expectations or your spouse has certain expectations about you, what I encourage you to do is to sit down, if you're able to have an open and healthy communication about it, and just talk about it. If your spouse has certain expectations of you, let them know how it makes you feel. That I feel like you don't love me unconditionally unless I meet these certain expectations of yours. I'm happy to do these things in order to be a great spouse and to show my love for you. I'm happy to do this give and take, but I don't want to feel like it's a condition for your love. Now, if your marriage is not in a place where you're able to have that kind of open and honest communication, then perhaps what you can do is, first of all, understand that personally, you don't have to meet any expectations in order to be a lovable person. That might be the way that you feel right now, but in the grand scheme of life, that's not true. You're lovable and you're lovely exactly the way that you are right now. Doesn't mean you're perfect, because no one's perfect, and we all have things that we know we need to work on. So take a valid assessment of, what is it that I could be doing to continue working on myself, and how can I do that in a way that I feel good about me and not in a way that feels condemning or in a way that feels hurtful to me. We actually have something called the Pies Boot Camp that talks about this in so much depth, about how to become the most attractive person you can be, to feel great about yourself, to look great again, to feel great again, to get confidence back. And you can get more information about that Pies Boot Camp at your.marriagehelper.com/pies. That's PIES. And we would love to help you become more attractive, feel better about yourself, and get all of those great things in your marriage that I know that you desperately want.